Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to share my learning journey in psychology minor, and I would like to focus on what the concept or theory that I learned have changed my personal belief. And here is my process of learning psychology. And I started my psychology lesson in year 1 as most of you did. And after the basic psychology, I think that I was very interested in psychology and in the human development across lifespan lesson. I feel that I know more about myself and I understand why I become myself. Some topics that I am very interested in, for example, the attachment between the mother and the baby can affect the baby life importantly, so that I can also reveal how I become myself. And in the psychopathology lesson, I concern more about my emotions because it talks about the mental illnesses or some mental disorder. And now I am studying in dress psychopic because of I think that I am very stressful, and later on I will discover more about the cognitive psychology. In the following, I will show a theory that is, I think that it is inspired me a lot, and I will show how I apply this to my personal experience and how I solve my problem, and use the SWOT framework to see is there any strengths or weaknesses that I have in my experience, and after that I conduct a future plan to see how I solve my problem. The skill I want to share is the cognitive error. I think this is a theory that most of us have and affects me a lot. It is some irrational belief that we always think it is true. For example, someone may feel everyone must love me and recognize what I do. So if anyone don't like me or don't agree what I'm doing, we may feel sad, or because we concern how people see us. And these irrational thought patterns may damage individuals' belief system. To an extent, it will cause psychological problems because these negative impacts may make us feel very sad. And the negative impact would be hamper learning acquisition, and both can damage our physical or mental health. And in fact, cognitive error is a component in cognitive therapy, and this is psychologists to use the therapy to deal with some patients with depression or anxiety. First, they will identify errors in their thinking and correct their thinking. Then they substitute more adaptive thoughts so that they can use in their daily life to meet their challenges. For me, I think that there are many things that trigger me to have negative emotions, and all of these come from the same sources and become a vicious cycle. So I have my own type of irrational belief. And here is my review on my belief, and something that had repeatedly happened to make me confused and sad in academic area and also the workplace area. For academic, I have very high expectation on myself, and I always think about my performance. If I cannot meet my expectation, I always feel unsatisfactory and uncomfortable. And I always think of why I behave like this. So when I do my homework, I always feel very nervous, and I think, is it I cannot do it well, or I cannot do it comprehensively? In the workplace, I have no tolerance in making any mistakes, even though my supervisor did not scold me, and I will blame myself. And if the student did not enjoy my lesson, I always think that it is all my responsibility because maybe I have not put all my effort yet, and so I start to criticize myself. And here is the cycle in my academic area. I always feel very worried and anxious I always thinking of making mistakes, so I delay to do my homework. And if my grade will not satisfy, then I think I will be anxious and worried again. So this causes a cycle. And in the workplace, the difference is just on the middle part. Because in the workplace, we cannot delay our work. We should do it at once. So when I'm forced to do it, I cannot put all my attention to it. making any kinds of these mistakes, so that I feel worried and anxious again. So, from the both experience, I can discover my cognitive error. I think I must do well in all aspects, especially in my academic aspect and also the workplace environment. Otherwise, I'm not feeling comfortable and I'm useless. And it's all my responsibility to keep doing things well, and I must blame myself. And I think that I always do things wrongly instead of doing things correctly. Within my cognitive error, I see some reasons behind to cause me to have this error. I think it's mainly related to my childhood experience. It's because at that time my parents had very high expectations on me. Although I got 90 marks above in my examinations or dictations, they scold me for making careless mistakes. For example, I write a word wrongly, and they scold me for not getting full marks. And they think getting full marks is a must. So if I get 100 marks, they still would not give any encouragement or compliment to me, and only full marks means success. And now I've grown up, I transfer the value on myself and using some grade or marks to value myself. Although my mom even scold me now, I still have an imaginary person in my mind, and I will blame myself, and just like my mother is inside my heart. So I think I basically have lower self-confidence than others. In the textbook, I can see that cognitive error has many negative impacts. But I want to see, is this really true? Is it just I can get only some bad results from it, or I can benefit from it? I will use the SWOT analysis to see my cognitive error. First, for the strength part, I think I can learn more comprehensively through studying. And because I always reflect on my weaknesses, I always criticize myself so that I can have a better understanding of my personal growth. And I think it's important in problem solving because before making any judgment, I can have a whole picture in mind. For example, I have a group project in AG class. The topic is whether confusion is belong to motivism or belongs to consequence. And in this argument, I've discovered many papers and some essays. I want to discover and develop my own point of view, and no one can challenge me. And I think it is impossible for me to do it. However, in the process, I think that I can see many different kinds of perspective. And if I can think deeply and logically before judgment, it can be applied to my future career, like as a teacher, to deal with the students. I would not just be just to see a situation and make judgment immediately. And I will not carelessly make any judgment. For weakness, I think I cannot present all my talents because part of my attention is occupied by the irrational thoughts. For example, in my workplace experience, my position is a tutor in learning center, and my role is to check students' homework. There are 8 students around a table, and I need to check their homework in an hour. And at that time, I thought that I don't have enough time, and I absolutely would overlook some of the mistakes of their homework, and so my supervisor will scold me. And my action is, I see many times of the same homework, even though I know that I do not have enough time. And the result is actually I don't have enough time, and I just overlook many of the mistakes. So my weakness is I don't believe myself and always have some negative emotions based on my results when my work doesn't meet my expectation, and I feel that it's a bit useless. For opportunity, in fact, I think my thoughts as negative, but I can alter it a bit so that I can be a positive thinking. I should see accept failure and see it as my growth and not my value. And for example, this is my cognitive error as mentioned in the last PPT, and I think I should change the must to be should so that I can have a lower expectation on myself, and I cannot see that I am useless. And instead of all my faults, I think it is not all my fault, and it is very difficult for me to think that it is not all my fault, but I will show that how I do it later in the future plan. And I think that I should change the mind that I always do things wrongly too. I sometimes do things wrongly. So I think external attribution is very important, as not many things, the result is always like what we want. So that, as the case mentioned in my workplace, I think I can think that there are many students so that I cannot check their homework. Instead of, I am very slow and it is my responsibility. So if I alternate my thinking style a bit, I think I can have positive thinking and live a better life. For the threat, it's my health would be damaged physically or mentally. For physically, I have muscle pain and I have itchy skin. The doctor told me that all these symptoms is because I have a high stress level, and I think it is due to my high expectation. And mentally, I feel anxious when there are homework, so I always feel anxious. If I continue to be like this, I no longer suffer from any high level of stress as a teacher. I will lack motivation, and I don't want my family to be like this, so that I won't want I have any severe disease or mental illnesses, and I will try to improve in the future. And how I improve it, I think the main problem is I always focus on the part that I cannot do well and neglect any efforts I put on it. So I will try to perform gratitude and think of at least 3 things that I can thank you for every day. And the one thing I must thank you for is my effort. And I should have more appreciation of myself. I should think of something that I do every day. For example, I made a delicious dinner for my parents, and I can follow my schedule, and all this is something that I can do it well, instead of just focus on the part that I cannot do well. I think the cognitive error is a important theory because every one of us have this some kind of irrational belief, and it is worth to reflect on it, so that I share this theory to all of you. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.